folks, so in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you and introduce to you the Comfort Object Project. So as you know, in my classroom, I focus a lot on mindfulness and being present and really focusing in on your work. I'm actually going to have you watch a video of my big brother, because he's the one that sort of introduced me to this concept of a comfort object. During the pandemic, when it first started, my brother started whittling and carving with wood, as you'll see in the video, and he made me a comfort object. This is that one. What he deals with is he thinks about, are there certain postures you have with your hand? And so when he asked me what sort of postures I do, is I often, when I'm I hold my hands like this. And so he took this design concept and created something that I held in my hand. So you'll see I hold my hands like this, but the wood goes right into my hand just like that. And then it has a spot for me to rub my thumb on the top and on the bottom. So this is my comfort object out of wood. So at this point, you're gonna watch my brother talk about his own practice being a craftsperson, and how he comes up with his product.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a software engineer by trade and an artist and craftsperson by hobby. All work and no play makes Jack a major depressive, so I like to make things. And this is a comfort object, I've been calling them. It's sort of like a worry stone. Ever heard of these? Think of a worry stone as like a Stone Age fidget spinner. The idea is just a flat rock with an indentation that's comfortable to hold in your hand, that you might keep in your pocket and just kind of fiddle with all day. It provides a certain amount of comfort and focus. Why am I making these? So I've been making things out of wood for a little while. First it was just boxes and playing with joinery. And then one day my wife asked me to make a sort of decorative bowl, square with a smooth indentation in it, and I liked the way that looked and the way it felt, and it made me think of these worry stones. So I decided to make something closer to that. So I went out into the woods in the park near my house and cut up some fallen logs and carved this. And people were into it, and they liked it, and they wanted their own. And I started thinking about how can I take this further? And I was thinking, like, how does this fit my hand, and what am I doing with it? And so I was talking to my wife, like, what sort of interactions would you want to have with this object, and what I wanted as well. And so my second attempt was this guy. It's a lot more complicated. It's got lots of bulbous areas to like cradle my palm, and it's really formed around this finger intersection. I also was thinking about like the symbol. What does it remind me of? And that's where I came up with this one, which is sort of like an ergonomic mouse, with then some extra little bits to make it nice to hold. So yeah, there's that combination of action and symbolism. I think about this when I think about like industrial design, like the handle of a tool. So I kept making them, and started thinking about how do I scale this process? How do I bring other people into it? How do I build something that is meaningful and comfortable for somebody? So I started formulating this interview process. And I usually go on a video conference with them and ask them about things, but ask them about what sort of actions do they do with their hands when they're fidgeting or when they are in stress, and like what sort of forms appeal to them. What are they making recently? What's sort of dominating their lives? While they're talking, I'll start sketching, and it's mostly painting plus doodles, but this is what turned into my sister Jana's cover object. So yeah, symbols can be anything from more concrete heart shapes to a tool or something. This is not one of these projects, but one of the inspirations is a plane handle that I made that has similar qualities. So yeah, actions, when I think about the actions, it's usually like some action that you do when you're stressed or when you're just trying to concentrate. This is a sort of playful one. It's sort of a tadpole or sperm or something, but it's designed to be gripped. So it's sort of cylindrical shape. It's got indentation for your thumb, another one back here for your fingers. And with each repetition, you kind of want to make it better and more interesting, both to look at and to create. You start thinking about the materials and the techniques. Here's one where I created a blank using just a sandwich of different kinds of wood, and some one that has a crack through it. The action here is snapping, it's interrupting that motion here. It's also just kind of a nice form. It's fun to play with. Here's another sort of exploration. I don't call it a comfort object because it was the precursor to another one that I gave to a friend, but it's just digging into a unique piece of wood and seeing what it's like to smooth it out. This is just from our firewood pile, but you can see it's got different colors and different patterns of the grain. It's fun. So yeah, those are my comfort objects. It's not a particularly unique idea. There's plenty of precursors, but it's something that's meaningful to me, and I hope that you can take that and expand on it and make it meaningful to you and comfortable.
So now what I want you to do is take out a small piece of clay, and I'm thinking like a size of a kiwi. So nothing too terribly large. You can think about also, it's about 1/4 pound. So grab that piece of clay right now. All right, so you have a small piece of clay in your hands. What I first want you to do is I want you to think intuitively, meaning let go of your mind, your thought process of what you think you should be doing, right? So just play with the clay intuitively. What does your hands or your fingers want to do with the clay? It could just be sort of smushing it between your hands. Maybe it's spreading the clay out with your thumb, and then what I like to do is I spread and sort of fold over. So in this first stage, just play. Don't think about a specific form you want to do. Maybe start to smooth certain things out. Maybe start to make little dips in the clay that your thumb can press into, or other fingers. Start to notice or start to think about what sort of shape, what sort of object would feel good in your hands. Maybe think about a specific posture that your hands go into. Does your comfort object, is that something that stops emotion, or is that something that gives your hands something to do? Or is it something that your hands just hold on to? Imagine, is it something that you want to put in your pocket, like in your jacket pocket you have every day? Is it something that you want to grab for in specific moments throughout the day? So just think about these things, right? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. Eventually, once you get to an object that you find interesting and comforting, then you want to start to smooth everything out. Don't add water. The clay is plastic, so you don't want to add water right now, but just using your fingers, smooth everything out. The objective for this particular project in clay for the comfort object is that there's no cracks, there's no crevices, no little boogers around, so smooth everything out. So day one, you're playing with it, you're coming up with your design, your object, and then day 2, or maybe 3, 4, 5, you're smoothing everything out. You can even burnish it at the end with a piece of plastic and it'll get really, really smooth. So again, think intuitively. Don't think too hard about this. Play with the clay in your hands. Come up with some form on this day one, and then remember to come back to it after the first day to smooth everything out. So I hope you enjoy.